Okay, great. Thank you very much, Gina. And hello to everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Amanti Kaitari, and I'm with Procurement Systems Canada, along with my colleague Indu Miai. And we are part of the Procurement Systems Canada team. And so today we're going to be giving you a brief overview presentation on how the government buys what you sell. So this is a really great presentation overview on anyone that is interested in learning about the federal procurement process and specifically how to go about it in terms of what the government buys, so understanding the marketplace, understanding what are the commonly, frequently bought goods and commodities, and how do you find out about those opportunities and how do you get yourself set up. So today's presentation will dive a bit deeper in the federal procurement process journey. And so feel free, if you have any questions, to type your questions into the chat, or once we get to the Q&A portion, you could feel free to raise your hand and we'll get to those questions. But I'll now pass it over to my colleague, Induam. He's a supply specialist here within our team at Procurement Systems Canada, Ontario region. And he'll be delivering today's presentation, and hopefully that you'll find this informative. So Indium, over to you.
Thank you very much, Manzi. Thank you, Gina. Good morning. Sorry, the afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And it is always a pleasure for us, an honor to represent Procurement Systems Canada to provide this session for you today. So let's start by looking for smaller and for opportunities for smaller and diverse businesses. So Public Services and Procurement Canada manages the procurement of goods and services valued at about $27 billion annually on behalf of the government of Canada. This is really a huge amount. And on average, smaller businesses in Canada will win the majority of the total value of contracts awarded by Public Services and Procurement Canada. Public Services and Procurement Canada is abbreviated as PSPC. So from time to time, I'll be using PSPC. And whenever I say PSPC, I actually mean Public Services and Procurement Canada. So as I said earlier, on average, smaller businesses will win the majority of the contracts awarded by PSPC each year, and except for those like requirements for emergency, where there is an immediate risk to public interest. So PSPC is the main procurement arm of the federal government. The government of Canada believes that competition in the buying process brings the best value for money to Canadians. And more than anything, it is important to the government that all procurement activities be conducted in an open, fair, and transparent manner, and that all suppliers have an equal chance at doing business with the government. We do make sure that there is a level playing ground for all businesses to compete in a fair and transparent manner. Federal laws and regulations, as well as Treasury Board of Canada policies, guide the Government of Canada's procurement process in order to ensure sound financial management of public funds. In order to sell goods or services to the government, your business needs to be registered as a supplier. You'll need to find suitable opportunities, and for competitive procurements, you will need to submit a bid. We'll first go over these steps in general and then provide more details on what each of the steps is involved, depending on whether you sell goods or services. So starting with the registration or registering as a supplier. There are different tools and platforms used in the procurement of goods and services. And later in this session, we'll see what these are and where you need to register depending on what you sell. Okay, an added benefit of registering as a supplier is that it allows government buyers to identify your business as a potential supplier. The business profile that you create when you register, okay, indicates what you sell, where you operate, and other details you provide, like including the socioeconomic profile of your business. I will talk more about these and the advantages in the course of the presentation. The second thing is how to find or finding an opportunity. Okay, so for any competitive process, you can find tender opportunities on the government electronic tendering services, which is GETS for short, on the Canada Buys website. And that website lists public sector tenders and contract history. For procurement opportunities below $25,000 in value for goods, below $40,000 for services, and below $100,000 for construction, you can build networks and engage with buyers directly. After finding an opportunities, the next thing is to bid. How do you bid? So when you are competing for tender opportunities, you must first understand the bidding requirements described in the solicitation document. Each tender opportunity defines the requirements for the goods and services to be delivered and the requirements for compliant bids. These may include things like security clearance and requirements for your business, such as your capacity, experience in providing the goods or services, the years of business activities, and many more. So solicitation documents also specify the bid submission methods required for each tender. This is important information that will determine how you will submit your bid. For example, if your bid is to be submitted online or through the conventional method. And when you bid or after bidding, what happens after you bid? In case your bid is not successful, there are debrief, challenge, and recourse options in order to ensure a transparent process. A debrief can help you understand the reasons why your bid was not selected, so you can improve on your next submission. And bear in mind that in a debrief, the contracting authority will not discuss the winning bid. It wouldn't discuss the content of any other bidders bid except yours. So you can plan ahead of time, prepare for the session if you're requesting for a debrief, and then make sure you write down the questions you have to ask the contracting authority, and don't expect him or her to discuss anything beyond your bid. So if you are interested in supplying goods to the government, you may need to be registered on two main platforms. You have SAP Ariba, which is the electronic procurement platform used by the federal government. It is accessed through the Canada Buys website, and registration is required for tenders that are processed electronically. So each tender opportunity specifies whether it requires electronic bidding and links to SAP Ariba if registration is required. The second platform is the Supplier Registration Information System or database, which is the federal government's database for registered supplier. When you register on this database, you will obtain that is the procurement business number. And this procurement business number at the moment is mandatory for tenders that are not processed through electronic bidding. If you go to the Canada Buys website, you might see something like a notice saying that the supply registration information system is no longer registered. You can ignore it at the moment. It is still required because it is through it that you'll be able to obtain the procurement business number, which is the mandatory requirement for bids that are not processed electronically. And also, if you are offering professional services, we are going to see later, you will also require that particular number, that's a procurement business number, to register on the centralized professional services portal. So tender opportunities for goods are posted on the government electronic tendering services on Canada Buys, and you can search them on regular basis. This is free to search. I will explain some of the benefits in the course of the presentation. When it comes to low dollar value opportunities, okay, to sell goods, you may want to promote your business directly to buyers. Okay, since these opportunities do not follow a tendering process. To compete for tender opportunities, you need to submit a bid. As always, please verify the bidding requirements, including the submission method. This information is specified and is always specified in solicitation documents for each opportunity. Now, supplying professional services to the government. So if you are interested in supplying professional services, there are different possibilities for the path you might follow depending on what you sell. I will go over these options in general now and provide more detail as we continue in this presentation. All professional services suppliers are required to register in SAP Ariba, as well as the supply registration information system database, which I said earlier, to obtain the procurement business number. Okay, so this number is required to register in the centralized professional system. Okay, it is very important. So once you are registered in SAP Ariba and the supply registration information system database, you are then, I can say you are ready to compete for opportunities to pre-qualify as a professional services provider for the government. Why am I using the word pre-qualify? Is because or let me say professional services are purchased through or just from pre-qualified suppliers. If you are not pre-qualified, you may not be able to supply professional services to the government of Canada. I will detail the process of pre-qualification in the course of this presentation. So depending on the services you provide, you may want to register in the centralized provisional system, services system, e-portal for most services, including those offering information technology, learning services, and temporary help services in the national capital region. When it comes to construction services, there is the Select database, which was widely used, but at the moment, in the Ontario region and in most of the other regions, Select is really no longer in use. So if you are offering construction services, just ensure that you have your profile registered, you have your business registered in SAP Ariba. So if you are browsing our web pages and you see information about Select or requesting you to register in Select to offer construction, architectural, engineering services, you can ignore it at the moment. So once you are registered and are looking for opportunities, you want to say once you are registered admin in the professional services, various professional services tools, including the centralized professional services system. Okay, so once you are registered, you can consult the centralized professional services system solicitation dashboard for services listed under this tool. And all tender opportunities for services are posted on the government electronic tendering service on Canada Buys. so it is always there. Though we have different web pages for professional services, including the centralized professional services system. When it comes to opportunities, though there will be links there for opportunities to pre-qualified, but bear in mind that all these are listed on the Canada Buys website. If you see a link there for any active solicitation or request for pre-qualification, it will direct you to the Canada Buys website. So for low dollar value service contracts below 40,000 in value, you can build networks and connect with buyers directly. When it comes to bid submission, as always, I've said this severally, please verify the bidding requirements, including the bid submission method. I'm really emphasizing on this or repeating it because it's really very important. And these are little things that can likely make you miss submitting your bid or may lead to your bid being disqualified. Okay, so let's move on. Now, let's take a look at the different platforms where you may want to register your business depending on what you sell. I made mention of SAP Ariba, and I explained it somehow in detail. It is the government electronic solution and is required to participate to view details of solicitations that require electronic procurement and to submit your bid. Without SAP Ariba, you wouldn't be able to submit a bid that requires electronic bidding. You wouldn't even be able to see the solicitation documents. When you create your account, please just remember to update your profile, including the commodities you sell and the socioeconomic profile of your business. That information is important because it helps buyers identify your business as a potential supplier, and you may benefit from procurement initiatives that aim to increase supplier diversity. To register in SAP Ariba, you can access it through the Canada Buys website by following like the account access on the top right corner, or the getting started tab on the home page, or from a link like all the tenders that require electronic bidding. There will be a link under bidding details that will lead you to to SAP Ariba. Another platform which I have also explained is the supply registration information system, which is required now to enable you to obtain your procurement business number. And this procurement business number is currently required for bids that are not processed through SAP Ariba. And also, if you are looking to provide services as opposed to selling goods, you can register in the Public Services and Procurement Canada's sourcing tools for specific types of professional services, including the centralized professional services system, which I just spoke about a short while ago. So registering to provide professional services. So after having registered in the supply registration information system, you can then consider some other competitive supply databases and methods of supply. Each database, as you see on the screen, lists suppliers of specific types of services and are used by government buyers to identify potential service suppliers. So registering will allow you to bid on opportunities, and note that every opportunity has specific requirements, and they're all listed on or explained in detail in the solicitation document. So let me explain what each of these databases is for. So providers of informatics services, IT and non-IT professional services may wish to consider registering on the centralized professional services system to access the pro services method of supply. Pro services method of supply is the mandatory method of supply for professional services below $100,000. So now, for task-based informatics professional services, it is a database for IT services, primarily related to application services, geomatic services, information management services, and cyber protection services. And these are also available through the centralized professional services system. The method of supply for task and solutions professional services is for the services primarily related to change management, human resources, and business consulting. For temporary help services, the sees federal departments in their procurement of temporary help services up to $400,000 with an assignment period duration that does not exceed 48 consecutive weeks. The centralized professional services system allows access to temporary help services contracts in the National Capital Region, that is the NCR. Opportunities outside the NCR are listed separately. The Directory of Linguistics Services is primarily related to translation, interpretation, terminology, and word processing. um, Select, I just spoke about Select a short while ago. We really don't use Select any longer, so please don't pay attention to it. The information that was required for Select is now available on SAP Ariba. The information you have to provide on SAP Ariba when you create your profile is the kind of information that was required through the Select platform. So depending on the nature of your business and the goods and services you provide, you may find it appropriate to apply to more than one method of supply or supplier database. And we have a session on supplying professional services as part of our regular sessions, which you could check our events calendar, register, and attend it. If time permits, we could share the information with you in the course of this presentation. So when you want to find opportunities, you can search online for tenders or approach buyers directly for low dollar value procurement. We'll provide an overview of these during this presentation. So for a detailed demonstration on how to search for opportunities, you may want to attend our finding opportunities and registering as a supplier demo sessions that is titled Canada Buys and SAP Ariba. It is coming up tomorrow. I don't know if registration is still open, but you can check to see if it is still open. It's a very good session to attend, especially if you want to have more details, learn more about how to search for opportunities in Canada Buys, as well as those that require electronic bidding and are posted on the SAP Ariba platform. So let's look at low dollar value procurement. Sorry about my bad voice. Purchases below $25,000 for goods, below $40,000 for services, and below $100,000 for construction, including all applicable taxes, are considered to be low dollar value procurement. And unlike larger purchases that are done through the solicitation of bids and quotes from potential suppliers using a tendering process, low dollar value procurements are often direct purchases from suppliers. Low dollar value procurement can present a big opportunity to grow your business by developing a business relationship with the government of Canada through smaller contracts. And government buyers often use things like the source list or their professional networks to find suppliers for low dollar value procurements on a competitive or non-competitive basis. So registering in the government supply databases, which I just explained earlier, can help buyers find your business when they are looking for a specific requirement. And as I said, when you register, please provide as much information about your business, including the commodities you sell and the socioeconomic profile of your business. And that information is important because it helps buyers identify your business as a potential supplier, and you may benefit from procurement opportunities or initiatives that are aimed to increase supplier diversity. So let's quickly look at competitive procurement. So when we talk about competitive sourcing, over $25,000 for goods and over $40,000 for services and over $100,000 for construction, there are three most common solicitation methods. These are the requests for proposals, requests for starting offers, and requests for supply arrangement. I'll quickly explain what each is and why it is issued, starting with request for proposal, which I think this is a very common phrase that is used in both public and private sector. A request for proposal is issued to solicit goods or services, and in the request for proposal, there will be the specifications of the goods and services required, and it will also describe the evaluation criteria that will be used to choose the winning bid. When it comes to RFPs for complex requirements, suppliers may be invited to propose a solution to a problem, a requirement, or an objective. Now, for a request for standing offers, they are issued to solicit standing offers. Suppliers who meet the evaluation criteria stated in the request for standing offer becomes pre-qualified suppliers and holders of standing offers. I will give you more details about standing offers in the next slides. Request for supply arrangement. They're issued to solicit arrangements from suppliers for the establishment of supply arrangement. A request for supply arrangement may be published more than once a year, okay, for example, quarterly, okay, allowing new businesses to submit an arrangement. Unlike standing offers, suppliers who submit an arrangement that meets the evaluation criteria stated in the request for supply arrangement become pre-qualified suppliers and holders of the supply arrangement. And it is important to note that standard policies, there are standard policies that apply to all government purchases, whether or not they are explicitly stated in the solicitation documents or not. With the Contract Modernization Initiative, there's an initiative that is ongoing, which is part of the government's initiative to make procurement process easier. you will find most clauses now clearly listed in the solicitation documents, unlike with most previous contracts where there used to be links that direct you to the acquisitions clause and conditions manual. However, you may learn more about the standard acquisition clauses and conditions manual and the supply manual by visiting the Canada Buys website, and under How Procurement Works session, you should be able to find information about this. So let's look at standing offers in details. When a buyer needs to purchase goods or services on a repetitive basis, they may choose to establish a standing offer. A request for standing offer is then issued to solicit the standing offers. And as I said, suppliers who meet the evaluation criteria become pre-qualified suppliers and holders of the standing offer. A standing offer itself is an arrangement with a pre-qualified supplier to provide goods or services at pre-arranged prices under set terms and conditions when and if required. A standing offer is not a contract until the buyer issues a call-up against the standing offer directly to the pre-qualified supplier or standing offer holder. Because when you are pre-qualified, you are a standing offer holder. The call-up documents serve as a notice to the supplier to deliver the goods or service or provide the service. A contract is then entered into each time a call-up is issued. A standing offer may be valid for 1 or more years, and this depends on the goods or service, and this is usually renewed or extended before its expiry date. Supply arrangements. So a supply arrangement, as I explained earlier, is a method of supply used to solicit supply arrangement, and this is used to procure goods and services also required on a repetitive basis. Like standing offers, it is not a contract and neither party is legally bound as a result of signing a supply arrangement alone. Supply arrangements include a set of predetermined conditions that will apply to the solicitations resulting contracts. They allow client department to solicit bids from a pool of pre-qualified suppliers for specific requirements. This differs from standing offers that only allow client departments to accept a portion of the requirement already defined and priced. Many supply arrangements include ceiling prices, which will allow client departments to negotiate the price downward based on specific requirements. So in other words, standing offers are generally used for things that are required on a repetitive basis, and the specifications and the price could be determined in advance. Whereas for standing offers, like most professional services, the specific requirements are a bit difficult to be determined in advance, and so suppliers are pre-qualified, and when the actual requirement comes up, there is a request for proposal that will be issued, and only suppliers already pre-qualified are eligible to participate. So let's look at the government electronic tendering service. You could see on the screen, this is an overview of the Canada Buys website, and this is specifically the tender opportunities tab. So you may be familiar with this website already, and this is where you can find tender opportunities. The government electronic tendering services here on Canada Buys is the official source suppliers should rely on to find government Canada tenders. So on Canada Buys, you can go to Canada Buys to check for tender notices posted on the website on a regular basis. Generally, federal department and agencies use GETS to advertise the requirements subject to any trade agreement, and often will use them for other requirements as well. As you may know, the government of Canada is signatory to many trade agreements, and as a requirement, any requirement that meets the threshold of such agreements have to be published on the Canada Buys website. So the Canada Buys website, which is that is the electronic that's the government electronic tendering service on Canada Buys, is easy to navigate and allows suppliers to search for new contract opportunities, and it also has past contract award notices that you can explore to see which companies were successful selling to the government, or what services has the government purchased in the past. And there are several benefits of using the government electronic tendering service. The first one is that you don't have to register to search. The second benefit is that you can search using plain language keywords and narrow down your search results using filters. If time permits, we'll quickly show you how to do so. But if you go to the Canada Buys website under the tender services and you click on it, tender opportunities, if you click on it, you will see a search bar, and either below it or beside it, you will see filters that you can actually use to refine your search. The third benefit is that you can find related procurement data for any tender, previous contracts, as well as current outstanding offers and supply arrangement. And the last benefit I'd like to give today is that you can serve a search and subscribe for updates by email or web feed. Subscribing for updates will allow you to be notified every time something is published related to the notifications you subscribe to. So there are some key steps involved in preparing and submitting a bid. We'll provide an overview of these steps in the previous, in the next slides. If you are interested in finding out more about bidding, you may want to attend our bidding on opportunities session, which gives more information, detailed information on how to bid, what you have to pay attention to in order to increase your chances of being successful. Now let's look at security requirement. A security clearance is necessary when a government of Canada contract requires your personnel to access classified or protected information, assets, or sensitive federal work sites. Security requirements are identified in the solicitation document in the same way as the basis of selection, the evaluation criteria, and the scope of work or scope of services are detailed there. For contracts that require organization clearance, you must submit your application for screening when you bid. And generally, you can apply for personnel clearance screening once you have been awarded a contract or pre-qualified for a standing offer or a supply arrangement. There are certain exceptions, though, to provide flexibility to businesses. These will be explained also in the solicitation document. If you want to learn more about security clearance, you can visit the contract security webpage. If you just type contract security on a browser, you should be able to find it, but we can as well share the direct link to the web page. So for questions like if there is a solicitation that requires security clearance, if you have any questions about the security requirements, you can always contact the contracting authority who is listed in the solicitation document. So Procurement Assistance Canada also offers a session on obtaining security clearance. So we do offer it in collaboration with the contract security program, and you can visit our events calendar from time to time to see upcoming ones. Now, submitting your bid. There are a few things to remember to review before you submit your bid. First, just make sure you know when your bid is due. Bids will not be accepted after the date and time indicated on the solicitation document. Check frequently for amendments to the deadline and make sure your bid is delivered to the location specified in the manner stipulated in the solicitation document. It is important to note that the government of Canada cannot accept bids delivered after the deadline for any reason. Another thing you may want to review before submitting your bid is to verify how your bid can be submitted. For some PSPC tenders, bids can be submitted electronically using Canada Post Connect's online service. If this method of submission is available and you plan to use it, be sure to create your Connect account in advance so you are ready to submit your bid documents on time. And it's important to note that Connect is used only to submit your bid and receive a confirmation email. If you need to contact the contracting authority, just follow the communications instructions provided in the solicitation document. Another thing you may want to review is that, or to notice that tender opportunities posted on the electronic procurement solution require bid submission through SAP Ariba. This information is really important for you to know. So you will need to register in SAP Ariba to be able to bid on such opportunities that require electronic bidding. For more information on how to register on SAP Ariba, you can find this information on the Canada Buys website. There are three ways. From the Getting Started tab on the homepage, you could access SAP Ariba. From the Account Access tab on the top right corner, you could access SAP Ariba as well, or on the link under bidding details of an opportunity that requires electronic bidding. We also have resources like Resource, which provides step-by-step guides on how to register your account in SAP Ariba. Another thing you want to make sure is done is to sign your document. Okay, if the document that is your bid isn't signed, it will not be reviewed. Next, just make certain any certifications within the solicitation document are filled out and signed. So when we talk of certification here, we are not talking of certifications like the ISO certification. Certifications will be like or just confirming, for example, that you are not using like a previous or a former public servant or stuff like that. So all those things will be listed in the solicitation document. Another thing is just ensure your proposal follows the format outlined in the instructions to the bidders. All solicitations will have a section with instructions to bidders. And then finally, just review your bid to make sure all required elements are addressed and completed. You may have someone else review your bid at this point, okay? Because they may just find something which you might have overlooked and which can easily could disqualify your entire proposal. One thing too is that during the evaluation process, when you submit a bid, there is an evaluation process. And during the evaluation process, the buyer may contact you for clarification on your bid. The evaluation or the contract award process will not be delayed. So be sure you respond to any questions by the date and time stipulated in the request. Now that you have a sense of how the government buys what you sell, where do you start from here? So let's go over some of the key resources to get you started. Canada Buys, we talk about Canada Buys so many times. I said earlier, it is a single window for businesses to view bidding opportunities across the federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal government, as well as administrative institutions, schools, and hospitals. So it's not only for finding federal government opportunities, but opportunities from the broader Canadian public as well. You can use Canada Buys to search the government electronic tendering services for public sector tenders and contract history, which I explained somehow earlier, and to register in the electronic procurement solution. So when you search tenders in Canada Buys, you may see tender opportunities that require electronic bidding. So these opportunities will direct you to register for an SAP Ariba account to access the procurement solution through Canada Buys. Okay, so for other tenders that do not require electronic bidding, you may need to register on the supplier registration information system, which I just explained a short while ago, to have your procurement business number. You can register for free, okay, to view details and to bid online through Canada Buys. There is no fee for registering your business as a supplier. And once registered, you can use the same login to view and bid on tenders that requires electronic bidding. That's like over time, more opportunities will be processed through electronic bidding, which means more and more opportunities will require bid submission through SAP Ariba. I can overemphasize on the need of completing your business profile on SAP Ariba, including information on the goods and services, the commodities that you sell, the socio-economic profile of your business. Again, this information is necessary to put because it helps suppliers identify your business as a potential supplier, and you may benefit from procurement initiatives that aim to increase supplier diversity. So open procurement data. On the Canada Buys website, you can access open procurement data. So knowing what buyers have bought in the past and which companies have been successful selling to the government can be useful as you develop your business strategy. And we have data on contracts awarded since 2000 and 9, and all are available under the Open Government portal, accessible also through the Canada Buys website. When you go to the footer of Canada Buys, you will see Open Government, and then you see Open Data, and then Open Government. There are 2 tabs there. Each of these will lead you to this Open Data. One will lead you to contracts above $10,000. So you can download the data, that's contract history data for the entire government through what we call proactive disclosure. You can analyze to see how much the government is spending, or each department is spending, which departments or suppliers were successful selling those items. And as you know, as a supplier, if you are aware of who buys what and your competition, you stand a better chance of building a good business strategy. So finding key government contracts. Throughout the presentations, I mentioned about building networks, reaching out to buyers directly to promote your business. You can leverage the government electronic tendering service, that is GETS, to search for public servants. That's for contacts of public servants across Canada. This is a directory of public servants, except employees of the Department of National Defense, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and this is for security reasons. This is easy to say. You can search using the organization, the contact information, or the title. So it's easy to use. And everything that I've said in this presentation, if you find it difficult to maybe access any of these, please, you could always book a free 30 minutes one-on-one session, and we'll be there to assist you. PSPC has regional offices that can provide you with information about selling opportunities in your specific area, in case not everyone on this call is from Ontario region. So about procurement assistance Canada. So this session was developed and is presented, of course, by Procurement Assistance Canada, which was created as part of Public Services and Procurement Canada to support smaller and diverse businesses in the federal procurement process. Our role is to engage with businesses to assist and inform them on how to sell their goods and services to the government of Canada, and to work to reduce barriers in an effort to ensure fairness and inclusion in the federal procurement process. We also look for opportunities to increase the participation of diverse businesses in federal procurement, and we do so by engaging with diverse communities, listening to concerns, answering questions, helping businesses understand the procurement process, like through presentations like this one today, and helping them identify opportunities, like in the sessions on finding opportunities, Canada Buys SPRIBA session, which is coming up tomorrow. We also partner with community organizations, like the partnership we have with NOBI, and offer assistance that is tailored to meet specific business needs. So we offer regular webinars. Some of the titles here have changed, like the Doing Business with the Government of Canada. We now offer an introduction to federal procurement. We have a session on finding opportunities. The next slide, in the next slide, we will see like the calendar of these sessions for the Ontario region. So after listened to what we've said here today, if you want to start searching for opportunity to see if there is an opportunity for you, you could head over to the Canada Buys website. And then from the Getting Started page, there are a lot of resources, information on how to register as a supplier, the various platforms I mentioned of in this presentation. They are all listed there. There are also step-by-step guides on how to register to deliver professional services or to supply professional services to the government of Canada, and you can find that as well under the Getting Started tab on Canada Buys. So let's say if there are any participants who are not from Ontario region, we have 6 regional offices. You can reach out to the regional office that is nearest to you if you have any questions or you need assistance on the federal procurement process. We also have an info national line which you can call. You can also visit our website to see various resources that could be of help for you. And lastly, this is the event calendar, which like our regular webinar schedules. The first Wednesday, we have introduction to federal procurement. Second one is supplying professional services. Third Wednesday, we have bidding on opportunities. And on the third Tuesday, we have how the government buys what you sell, which is today. I just finished from the session before coming over to this one. And on the last Wednesday, like the fourth Wednesday of the month, we offer a session on how to find bidding opportunities. And this is the Canada Buys and SAP Ariba.